Hello, friends. It is time for NBA Live Before Lock, and it's a little slate here. Just 3 games, but there are some moving parts. So Josh is away right now for the holiday, so no deep dive today. Just the Live Before Lock for the 3-game slate, but it's okay. Eric and I have you covered. We've come bearing Black Friday deals as well. We'll talk about those a little bit as we go. For the people who are maybe a little bit more attentive and can look at the screen and read a little bit, you probably can figure out what the Black Friday deals are without me telling you what they are. But we will talk about that as we go here. Do us a favor, though. Like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is a massive help for us over here. And yeah, just enjoy the show. If you've got any questions for us as we go and you are a Stokastic sub, hit Eric and I up in the Discord channel. I always have that open to see what kind of questions we get from you guys as we go here. But Eric, what's up? How are you feeling about this 3-game slate?
I feel fine about it. We got some of that news that just kind of rolled in before this, so we have a better idea of where Washington's going to be. So we don't have any injury news really to talk about outside of like Goga and Bogdan Bogdanovic. I think that's the only 2 I've got on my sheet. So it's going to be starting lineup news. I'm assuming Jackson Hayes starts for the Lakers. I'm assuming Justin Champagnie ends up starting here for Washington, but I suppose we'll find out here over the course of the next 57 minutes. But it's kind of wild to me. We haven't done a show together for a week. Is this real? A week?
Is that? Yeah, could be. Yeah, could be because
you weren't here Wednesday. You weren't here Friday. I don't ever do the show with you Thursday.
No, I was here Friday, but we don't do the show together on Friday.
Yeah, that's just weird. I don't like it. How have you been, baby?
Well, we can talk a little bit after the program here, but
no,
yeah, if you go ahead, I do think to what you said before, starting lineups could go in a number of different directions. Like, I assume that the 76ers start Justin Edwards. They don't have to, though. They could go in other directions. Then you've also got some other situations on the slate as well. Like you mentioned, the Lakers. Do they start Jackson Hayes today? Probably. Do they have to? No. That's also something we're not going to find out until way later in the day. One thing that is a little bit of a pain in the ass with the 3-game Tuesday slate is because this is the brilliant brainchild of Peacock. We're like, here's how we're going to get subs. We put a game on in the middle of the night, 11 p.m. Eastern time. But for a slate like today, that means we have 3 hours in between games. Orlando and Philly locks at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Clippers, Lakers locks at 11 p.m. Eastern time. There's very minimal chance we're going to know for sure the Lakers starting lineup. One other thing that I kind of find funny about that game, John Collins, apparently he is on the trade block. John Collins has been on the trade block more than any other player who doesn't really get traded all that often, but we always hear about John Collins being on the trade block. That report came out from Evan Sidery, I think it was yesterday. I saw that on my Twitter timeline. So John Collins might not be destined to be on the Clippers for that much longer. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with starting lineups. And in particular, I know you had mentioned the Jackson Hayes that you, like me, assume, although we don't know for sure he starts for the Lakers. Anything else that you could be seeing as potential fuckery with the starting lineups tonight?
Yeah, potential fuckery. Definitely Justin Champagnie could just as easily be Anthony Gill, could be Cam Whitmore, but I doubt it. They kind of just have utilized Justin Champagnie in that role where whenever there's like 2 or like they're, I don't know. It just feels like whenever there's a primary guy out, you can just assume Justin Champagnie will somehow be out there starting for whatever reason. So I think we're all under that kind of assumption as of right now. And then we'll adjust to that one early because that news will already be out by the time we get to lock. I guess the other one has been random stuff happening with Philly, but like, I think with both Paul George and Joel Embiid out, I think it's just very clearly going to be Edwards Barlow, Drummond at the 5, but you know, obviously we'll have forever to be able to adjust our lineups to that one. I guess the main one is just like, there's a world where Jackson Hayes wouldn't start, but I think that world is like 10% of the time. I really don't want to put any value in it. There's a really good fantasy producer that they picked up on a 10-day, like 2 days ago, Drew Temat. So he's only applicable to FanDuel, where he's not even available on DraftKings. I've looked into him and trying to say, hey, you know, if I have 3,800 left over, maybe there's a world where I click that button, but I doubt I do. When it's all said and done, should be a slate played pretty straight up.
Yeah, Timmy. So you know what is funny? I saw this message in chat, and my first thought is, which George is he talking about? And there was, it doesn't matter. Keyshawn George and Paul George are both out for today. So Ryan Rennebaum did ask us, sorry, coming in late, has George been ruled out? So I do not know if you're asking us about Paul George or Keyshawn George, but they're both out. So it doesn't matter. Neither of them are going to be playing for today. And then also we'll go back and forth showing you guys some of the exposures and ownerships here on screen, which, usually, not to say that NBA ownership isn't important. It just doesn't create some of the same leverage opportunities as say like MLB DFS or NFL DFS, but 2-3 game NBA slates, or if you're playing Showdown for NBA, that does create a little bit of different scenarios. So I do think it is going to be an interesting talking point for us on a 3-gamer to try to find some leverage plays in a different way than maybe we talk about on like a 9, 10, or 11 game slate. But here's what we're looking at for the highest owned players on the slate right now. Eric, leading the way, Jalen Johnson, 64% owned right now. And starting here, these are the DraftKings ownership projections, by the way. Corey Kispert is 52% owned. Justin Champagnie is 48% owned. And then you got just over 40% ownership going to Kristaps Porzingis, Cam Whitmore, as well as Tyrese Maxey. Of these players, is there anybody that you look at and you say, that's a little bit too much ownership for your liking?
Again, I brought up the Justin Champagnie thing. Corey Kispert started last time out and nuked. That's a lot of ownership on Corey Kispert if he's off the bench. I think it's a lot of ownership if Corey Kispert's in the starting lineup, if we're being honest. Like, this is not a good fantasy producer. You see him at Gonzaga, he knocked down a billion threes. You saw him in the NBA. He's a good three-point shooter, but I didn't see 37 minutes in the cards for him getting that starting bump last time out. He was like sub 1% owned in the starting unit for Washington. And now he's 50+% owned as a still terrible fantasy producer. Now, the news broke in a way where you still have to look at it as like somewhat feasible because Keyshawn George, he's the main guy out. Corey Kispert jumps in there. But with AJ Johnson back, with a number of other guys that they can go to, Bub Carrington off of the bench, Cam Whitmore I brought up earlier, I just have interest in other dudes on Washington. And shooting guard small forward, if he is getting another start, there's going to be even more ownership that comes in on him there. Whereas Justin Champagnie, he gets the first crack at it. And again, Kispert's somebody who's been playing like high teens minutes, low 20s minutes the entire year. I don't see that role changing in like a pronounced way, the way we saw against Chicago. If the switch flipped and all of a sudden I'm wrong about that, so be it. But like, he's such a bad fantasy producer that I feel pretty good about him being the guy that I want to hit eject on if this ownership maintains, if we get the starting lineup and he's not in it.
So looking through my current exposures to the Wizards players, I do think that Justin Champagnie is overowned. And this is even with the expectation that he starts. I think he's overowned, and we're going to know that ahead of the start of the slate. But we've also seen so far this year, people a little bit less apt to make changes for news than we've seen in some previous seasons, as the field looks like getting a little bit softer this year in NBA DFS for a variety of reasons. But as far as Justin Champagnie goes, I'm currently coming in, not where he's not showing up in lineups, but I've got him about a third of lineups right now as compared to the field playing him nearly half of lineups. And I do think there's some viable pivots that we could look to from the Wizards as well. You mentioned the name of somebody who stands out to me. That's Bub Carrington. So we saw last year, rookie season for Carrington. He was not great from a real life perspective. But with that said, we did see down the stretch of the year, somebody was able to fill up the stat sheet in some of the counting stats, kind of like a poor man's version of Michael Carter Williams. If you remember the old fantasy games they used to have, just terrible real life player, terrible efficiency, but it's like, hey, he could put up like 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists or something like that. So as shorthanded as the Wizards are, I could definitely also a not terrible matchup against the Atlanta Hawks here. That game is a pretty high 238 total. I think that there's an opportunity for Bub Carrington. And then on top of it, too, if this game does turn into a blowout, which is a possibility, the Hawks are double-digit favorites, Carrington would likely play in garbage time.
The entire Washington team is horrible. What are we talking about? Obviously, guys, I'm aware that all these guys suck, but it's fantasy. We have to entertain them, and there's value to be had because they're all cheap. I like the Carrington shout out. My guy's Cam Whitmore. Out of everybody there, 3,800. He's kind of the value piece, I think, 4K and below that I feel the best about amongst Kispert, Champagnie, Whitmore, and Carrington. He gets blowout run. He gets opportunities to just go out and chuck because there's no real offensive forward player in this second unit besides him. I mean, it just feels like we're kind of like sitting in some of these spots. It's going to be up in pace, and defensively, there's some guys there for Atlanta, but overall, I just kind of look at this game environment. 238 total. It's markedly higher than we've got coming up later in the evening, and I think just with the value that we've got there, I like the Cam Whitmore purely because he's a fantasy point per minute guy, and Carrington really isn't. Kispert really isn't. Champagne is better, but like he's the cheapest of everybody. So I'm kind of more in line with playing a little bit more Champagne. I think the Carrington shout out works out because he's 3,300 at point guard. And if you're not playing Luka, if you're, looking at some of the main pieces that we have for spend ups, Jalen Johnson is very, very popular. So power forward, that's kind of getting ate up. Tyrese Maxey is very, very popular, but I do have a little bit of uncertainty that we'll talk about later with that game. I just kind of look at the positionality of it, and it's like, all right, I like Carrington because of the position, and I really like Cam Whitmore as somebody who could just put up 35 and you need him.
So we are going to have a piece of unexpected injury news to talk about here in a second. So I'm just pulling up the Magic projections on screen because we were waiting for news on Goga Bitadze, who was 50% owned on the Sunday slate, unexpected late scratch. And now, questionable for today, you start to say, hey, is Bitadze going to play? Is he going to sit? And instead, we find out that Jonathan Isaac is out, which Isaac doesn't play enough minutes. See, we've got him for 10 minutes where he would normally matter for a main slate. But for a slate like today, if you're taking his 10 minutes off the board, like, do they all just go to like Tristan da Silva or something like that? Could that potentially bring him into play, particularly like Goga is also ruled out? So I'll be interested to see what some of our projection updates look like. Certainly on a full slate, this wouldn't matter, but Jonathan Isaac on a 3-game slate being ruled out, that could make somebody a fringe value option who maybe weren't considering all that much for before. So we'll hit on that in a second, but I do want to wrap up by talking about the Wizards players here, because somebody in chat said, these guys are all terrible. I don't want to play them. Here's the problem. Keyshawn George is out. Marvin Bagley's out. Trey Johnson is out. There's just available playing time here to where you are pretty likely to see at least one of these guys have a good game relative to their price point. Keep in mind, these guys are also priced relative to what their production is like. So if we go and we look at the price points on the Wizards players, who, by the way, are a bunch of them are popular, not because anybody thinks they're good, but because they are so cheap, right? So Kispert is 4K. Champagne is 3,200. Cam Whitmore is 3,800. Bub Carrington is 3,300. Neither Eric nor I are sitting here being like, boy, I want to play these guys because they're all stars. It's because they are extremely cheap and they're stepping into extra minutes because of all the players that are out for Washington. You unfortunately just kind of have to get some exposure to shitty players like this on small NBA DFS slates. This is where the value is.
Not only that, but if you go back to last year, one of the things, a lot of these players, they played alongside Jonas Valanciunas. They played alongside Jared Butler. They played alongside Jordan Poole. They played alongside, I guess, guys that are still there. Rashawn Holmes is a pretty good fantasy producer as well, played there. They played along like good fantasy producers once upon a time. So all of these numbers that we have as like base rates back in the day for them, they don't really apply to this year as much. And now obviously we do have the sample size of this year playing alongside certain guys, but now you get Bagley out of that second unit. He's been the best fantasy producer out of all of them. Keyshawn George is traditionally somebody who can go get you a bucket, even though he's not the greatest fantasy producer all time. We've seen some upside, like change in how he's been utilized this year, where he's been a better fantasy producer. Like overall, Greg, like these are guys that are not just cheap, but they're going to have to shoot the ball. Somebody's going to have to shoot the damn ball in this second unit and out on the floor, unless you're just going to have Alex Sarr play 40 minutes, unless you're just going to have, CJ McCollum light it up, as he's had some like random 50 spots this year. Like this is just one of those spots you have to take shots on these dudes. You have to consider them because they're cheap, and theoretically there's more opportunity and better fantasy point rates, fantasy point per minute rates ahead for them.
Got a super chat here from Caleb Wiggins. Does this say another Wiggins? We've already got Andrew Wiggins, we've got Aaron Wiggins, and now we've got Caleb Wiggins too. Caleb Wiggins, how should I set the Sims for NBA first time contest 8,000? And I have the core Sims. I know the Sims have been smashing, need extra cash. So I'm going to send you a video, how to use the NBA Sims. And because this is a very broad question that you're asking. So I want to send you this tutorial video because this is going to help you more than us trying to walk through like any individual questions that you have. But how unless, by the way, you don't have to leave a super chat. If you have like any specific questions that we could help you answer, Caleb, throw that into the chat. You don't have to leave another super chat. Just how to use the Sims. I'm going to send you this tutorial video, which should help. Anything that you want to add, Eric?
No, I think obviously watch the video from Greg. He breaks down pretty much everything in depth. The key thing to remember is like the Sims, it's really based around the projections and the ownership that we have. If there's a player that you specifically want to boost, you can do that. You're still going to get positive EV lineups. You can still find some green lineups with those players that you want, even if they're not necessarily simming out the best. The other thing to remember is each contest, if you have a contest that's first time, 8,000 entries, I believe is what you're saying, instead of $8,000 in the prize pool. But you're going to always want to divide the number to first by the prize pool so that you get the correct payout. And changing that can change the lineups and the players that are going to sim out better. So 10% to first and 30% to first, they're going to change things. Now in NBA DFS, it's not nearly as extreme as what you'll see changes in NFL, because you can see chalkier builds that will really get pushed in like your 10% to first or small field when you change the field size. But just keep like experimenting. The one nice thing also about the Sims is you can change around things and see, oh, that's interesting. That really trimmed down my Justin Champagny exposure or my McCollum exposure or whatever it might be. Just play around with it a little bit so that you have a better idea of everything. But Greg will get you off on the right foot. That is for sure.
And let me tell everybody else the best way for you to get access to the Stokastic Sims, because we currently have our Black Friday sales going on. So if you guys want to sign up for any weekly package that we have here at Stokastic, any weekly package, core or max, for any of our sports, use the promo code GRAVY. There's a link to sign up down below in the YouTube description box, and you will get 50% off whatever packages you want, any of our weekly packages. So if you want to sign up for NBA, pretty good chance that's what you're looking for. You're watching an NBA show. Promo code GRAVY, 50% off. NFL, MMA, whatever it is that you might want to be using our Sims for and our data, promo code GRAVY, link down below in the YouTube description box, and you're going to get yourself 50% off. This also applies to OddsShopper Portfolio EV. If you guys want to check out our betting tools, 50% off with the promo code GRAVY. Also, if you're a new sub, this in addition to the 50% off, your first week is also free with OddsShopper Portfolio EV. I've been posting my results on Twitter pretty regularly. I've had a really good month so far. Also, my bankroll thread. All those bets come right from the OddsShopper Portfolio EV tools, and it's had some pretty big growth as of late, Eric. So this week has been the best week, and by this week, I mean not just yesterday. I mean like the last 7 days. It's been the best 7-day stretch of the entire season for the bankroll content so far, and is now up 67% from the start of the season. So if your bankroll hasn't grown by 67% and you're better over the course of the season, you might want to go and check out the OddsShopper Portfolio V tools. And for everything, I tried to make this as simple as possible. Promo code GRAVY. You only have one promo code to remember. It's not different promo codes for different packages. GRAVY for any package you choose to sign up for, 50% off. So let's go ahead here now, Eric, and see if there was any questions that came in for tonight's slate. And if not, then, we do have a couple here. Okay. Or just one. Win wants to know, if we had to choose one player from the Lakers game, who would it be on FanDuel? So if you're building a FanDuel lineup right now and you decide you absolutely have to have one Laker in the lineup, who's it going to be? This is a pretty easy answer for me.
Let me pull up my FanDuel. I'm playing one lineup on FanDuel tonight from the Lakers game. My guy is Ivica Zubats.
Okay, that is going to be Luka for me. If I'm just picking one guy to roster from the game. So a couple different reasons for it. Number one, LeBron is more popular than Luka. Not like massively more popular, but he's a little bit more popular than Luka. And then another thing to consider as well for Luka, if you're playing him, it's going to give you a little bit, I was going to say a little bit more flexibility, but whatever. That's actually a dumb point, because no matter what, you're playing one player from that game. But if you are going to be playing Luka, it does at least give you a little bit more of a pay-up option. So let's say you get the event that Goga's ruled out and all of a sudden like Robinson starts and he's a really good value, want to be playing at min price. This is something you and I have talked about on a lot of these spots in the past. It's easier to start with the high end players already in the lineup than the inverse if you don't have them in those kinds of scenarios. So in general, we do have the chance that Goga Bitadze, who is listed as questionable, and now also that Jonathan Isaac is out. This could create some pretty solid value potentially in the Orlando front court, and it's just going to be a little bit better for the overall outlook of your lineups if Luka's already in them.
Yep, and for what it's worth, there's like a 0% chance Robinson starts because Wendell Carter Jr. is back. Yeah. He didn't play against Boston, but
yeah, my bad.
Just wanted to amend that in case you said something. Just don't consider him really for FanDuel purposes. We got a lot better plays for center, and even if we get him at the min, he's far more of a DraftKings play than anything there. But your point still remains. Just wanted to amend that.
I would still take shots on Orlando Robinson over on FanDuel, though. Not to say that he'd be one of the best options or anything like that, but as a GPP play. And yeah, I meant just playing extended minutes potentially if Goga is out for today. On a 3-game slate, and this would not be a main slate thing. This is very specific to it being a 3-game slate. Because it's a 3-game slate where some of these marginal value options could really differentiate a GPP lineup, I do have interest in Orlando Robinson, even on FanDuel, only if Goga's out, though, or else.
Yeah, and I feel like Trump, I'm going to come. I'm so happy it's in the second game. Like if it were in the first game, everybody would be able to react to it. They're building their lineups from the onset. We've seen this multiple times now this year. You pointed it out very, very earlier in the year. People aren't swapping as much. They're not taking advantage of news as much. And so as such, I'm very happy that it's in the second game.
Yeah, if you look at the depth for Orlando, and let's see, our projections updated for Isaac being out now. All right, I think they are. Let's sort by the Magic.
I mean, Jonathan Isaac has routinely been the first guy off the bench like the entire year. I mean, what this really does, there's one guy in particular on Orlando that I do not agree if that is an updated number. We saw a nuclear bomb from somebody on Orlando. Do you know who I'm talking about? Jet Howard went berserk against Boston. Like absolutely insane. Like his fourth quarter is one of the dumber fourth quarters we've seen from any player all season long. And I don't know what to make of it. I was going to kind of ask you what you thought about a guy who puts up 46 fantasy points and goes from playing 8 minutes, 10 minutes here or there to playing 29 minutes. He was assertive. He was berserk. And I know it's a different position, but like you could slide everybody down and you could play Tristan da Silva a little bit if you needed to in some of these lineups when Andre Drummond isn't on the floor. Now, Andre Drummond's been playing so much that this makes me probably just like Wendell Carter Jr. more. But yeah, there's a lot of different configurations that Orlando can go to in some of these specific spots. The other thing is that Jet Howard was basically, I mean, it was just like garbage time. And then all of a sudden it wasn't garbage time because of Jet Howard alone. And so I don't think it's anything that I want to go nuts with. I don't think it's anything to really go crazy with on him either, but just wanted to point out how insane some of those rotations were coming down to the end of that Boston game. And completely different matchup, completely different situation, but there's ways where Orlando Robinson plays 12 minutes. There's ways that he plays 22. We've seen him with with Miami, where he's had moments and it's not the greatest fantasy performer in the world amongst centers, but like it's like 0.9, 0.92 over the course of the last year. And then like 2 years, I guess, to get a full sample size, but 0.94 is what we've got him in for. Yeah, he would look like one of the best value pieces that would be showing up late in our lives if we got Goga out.
Look at how thin Orlando is in the front court. And, you know, this is a team that, like a year ago this time, we had Wendell Carter Jr., we had Goga Bitadze, we had Mo Wagner, who was playing minutes in the front court. But now, you know, obviously Mo Wagner has the torn ACL that he's still coming back from. I think he's due back in like a month or something like that, maybe 2 months at this point. And now you've got Goga banged up. Wendell Carter Jr., who also gets into foul trouble pretty regularly. He's not going to play like 36 minutes or anything like that. If you were to take Goga out, I mean, they're just so thin in the front court. Like, there aren't that many guys, and Jonathan Isaac being out today, which we touched on before. They're thin. They just don't have a lot of guys.
Nope, they're really thin, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, we'll get a late piece, and it's just they're thin as far as guys that they would actually want to play in the front court. You bring that up. I'm just kind of like thinking through scenarios where if Andre Drummond is on the floor, like it's really hard to imagine Andre Drummond not going completely nutties on a floor with, the absence of Wendell Carter Jr. and they don't have Orlando Robinson playing the backup center minutes. I think that's kind of chalky for it, but there's certain lineups that I think they might want to toy around with, and they're not going to keep Suggs and Bain off the floor along with Wagner. So like, I just think about Jet Howard. If he ends up playing a little bit more, if they're like, man, we really might've found something with him, or he, showed out last game. Everybody slides down Tristan da Silva at the 5. I think that's a little bit extreme. And I doubt they want to do that with Drummond out there, but just thinking through scenarios for it, just want to kind of like leave no stone unturned on a 3-game slate.
Let's see what kind of questions we have coming into the Discord now. We've got Coach DFS, 3-game slate. Who are the must plays for a single entry on DraftKings? Boy, who are we going to consider like the absolute must plays for today?
Yeah, Jalen Johnson's one.
He's so popular. It's like, I'm underweight to the field to him in large field GPPs at the moment. I guess I hesitate to call him a must play. He's a very good play. I don't know if I'd build a lineup and say he has to be in it. I like Porzingis a little bit as pseudo leverage off of Jalen Johnson.
I like Alex Starr a lot as a guy who could particularly be the only center that they really want to give minutes to.
Yeah, must plays though. I'll say, I guess I'll say Porzingis and Maxey, but there truly aren't people who I'd say you absolutely have to have in a lineup today. There's no like can't miss value option on the slate.
I agree. And there are just some grimy plays that we're going to talk about. I mean, the nuke of the night might make everybody vomit today. Like you might all hate me immediately after I say his name.
Is it Evan Fournier? I'm going to make people Google him.
Well, wow. That's a blast from the past. Is he still in the NBA somewhere?
No.
I don't think I've seen him on the sheet all year. So, wow. Way to throw that one out there for the people.
I was trying to figure out who it is that you would bring up that would make people throw up.
Oh,
Evan Fournier.
Well, everybody's mad. So yesterday, do you know who my nuke of the night was? Did anybody tell you such things?
I do not know.
No, it's all right. Karl Anthony Towns, slate winner. Absolute nuke. I mean, the nukes have been the best the nukes have ever been. It's impossible for me to have better nukes than I've had. I've had low range, mid range, and expensive spend up nukes, and everybody just keeps nuking. Today's a spend down. It's at the center position, and if you want to hit the button and just get it out of the way and have the worst take of all time, we could do it. But boy, am I playing a lot of this idiot.
All right, Eric has promised us the absolute worst take of all time.
Yes.
This is going to be tough for him to top as well, but let's see.
10-meter charge. 10, 9, 8, 7, 2, 1.
All right, Eric, the people need to know it. You have promised us the worst take of all time.
Yeah.
You've promised us the worst take of all time. What is it?
This one's going to be pretty bad. I think Tristan Vucevic might be the best play on the entire slate today. He's in the early game. There's like so many Washington pieces that people want to play as value. We got how many guys that are showing up at the top of the board for today right now? And we've seen routinely, ownership has been very difficult. We've got Corey Kispert, Justin Champagnie, Cam Whitmore, my guy, Bub Carrington. There are 4 pieces from Washington that are north of 30%. None of them are good fantasy point per minute players. You know who is, whenever he gets opportunity and run that just shows up? Tristan Vucevic. Also, I thought it was a little bit alarming last game against Chicago. You come off of a toe injury for Alex Sarr. There was no foul trouble. He only played 28 minutes, Greg. The entire backup center rotation was 20 minutes of Tristan Vucevic. If we put him in for 18, he already looks decent. He's pulling like 13-14% ownership. But I can tell you one thing. I'm playing single entry. I'm playing some other stuff. And I think a 3,400 Tristan Vucevic, who also would be the only center that they would want to play in kind of blowout run territory as well, depending on how you want to build those lineups. Anthony Hill, he's played 5 minutes in the last month. Like, this is such an unbelievable nuke opportunity. The best guy. I just talked about everything with Cam Whitmore where there's no good production. And nobody wants to play him off of fucking us all straight up the bumhole last week. Tristan Vucevic, nuke of the night.
I mean, this would have been a goated call if you had it last game.
I think I had a little bit, actually, for what it's worth.
So, I mean,
you could see it coming. You could see it written in the stars that he was going to smash the net. I think he put up like 30 or something. You didn't need him, but I played a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he is coming off of a really big game, coming off of a really shitty chalk game where he was one of the more popular players we had on the entire season, the game against Toronto, and didn't even really get an opportunity. I mean, not that he earned one either. He was complete dog shit in the 17 minutes he played. He did next to nothing. I don't know exactly what the rebound margin was when he was on the court that game that he started, but it did seem like Toronto got every single rebound when Vucevic was on the court for that game, and then he bounces back with one of the better games of his entire career in that game against Chicago Bulls. So he's coming off of a pretty big game. I don't think it's as gross of a call as if you would have made this call after the chalk game where everybody played him and didn't go well, then I think that would have really grossed people out. But
it was a
coming
Saturday
off the big game,
I couldn't do a show.
33 fantasy points his last game.
But it was Saturday. I don't do a show on Saturday.
I'm just saying in general, people aren't going to be that grossed out by your pick here. He's 15% owned. He's coming off a big game. People will be cool with it.
Read the chat. The chat does not like me for that.
But they don't like you for other reasons. They just don't like what you stand for as a human being.
They only like, careful. You may end up on the Saturday show now. Thanks, E-Mac. Careful, gamers.
By the way, we just found out that Goga is going to be, let me make sure that I read that correctly. It looked like it said available to play, but then my phone...
And then we got the Washington starting lineup, which that's a thing. We got Kispert starting again.
All right, so let's go through these pieces of injury news. Goga's available to play. That's not going to change anything for the Magic. So Orlando Robinson, no longer a deep contrarian GPP play. For myself, he was somebody who I was going to take shots on if Goga was out. That's not the case anymore. We've got the Wizards starting lineup. To what Erica just mentioned, it is Kispert starting. Champagne's off the bench. So my lineups that I just updated, I'm going to have to re-update everything because that's the way the world works. And then we got the Hawks starting lineup, which is just normal business. Daniels, NAW, Risache, Jalen Johnson, Kristaps Porzingis. But I have to give you guys my nuke of the night as well, which is not nearly as crazy as what your nuke of the night is, Eric. But let me sort here by the spend up options. All right, here we go. Maxey is 40% owned. Jalen Johnson, 65% owned. I could get Luka at sub 30% ownership and then also reserve a late lineup spot as a pay up in case any kind of weird NBA fuckery happens between the 7 and 8 p.m. games.
Could happen.
I like getting to Luka today. I know this is not some sort of crazy take, but I'm just looking at ownership relative to the field. The last Sims run I did, I had more exposure to Luka than I did to Maxey or Jalen Johnson on my last run, and he is not nearly as popular as them. I think that's a very simple way to differentiate your lineups from the field. Pay up for Luka, who has more upside than Maxey and Jalen Johnson and currently only has a fraction of the ownership.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of good plays and a lot of leverage opportunities. I think that is definitely one of them. I'm looking over at FanDuel as well. I mean, there's a lot of FanDuel plays that I like that are low owned. I like Chris Dunn. I like Jared McCain. I like some real interesting stuff over there. But Luka's 12-4 over on the FanDuel side of things. 12K on DK, a little bit more attainable, but yeah, there's just so many leverage opportunities. And I feel like Luka might actually be an opportunity on both sides for it. So always a good thing. And always nice when you can say NBA fuckery over the course of saying the nuke of the night, because it just sounds right and correct.
It's funny. And as we're talking about the fuckery of the NBA, it is in the context also of Goga just being rolled in and people in chat saying, how could we believe that Goga is going to play? Yeah, that's a leap of faith you always take in the NBA. But these sorts of things, they're going to happen multiple times over the course of the season. But in reality, it's what, maybe like once every month or so, you get like a mega chalk play who's just randomly ruled out after lock. I think I think we bought ourselves a little bit of a grace period before it happens again. And he's also not popular today.
Well, Sunday I was excited to watch basketball, and then I was excited to help my wife out with work around the home as Goga Batadze was scratched in 92% of my lineups. I was like, oh, well, I'm going to be helpful. She goes, I thought you said you had something to do this afternoon. I was like, I have nothing to do this afternoon. I have nothing in the cards for this afternoon.
That, by the way, massive misplay by you. That is not how you should have approached that situation at all. Instead, what you should have done, Eric, is you said, you know what? I've changed my priorities, and it's you now. You don't even have to tell her that your NBA became less of a priority because of the.
I didn't tell her about it. I just said, hey, honey, what do you need help with? She goes, I thought you had something to do. I was like, I'm here to take care of you. That's what I'm here for. Yeah. As I lose hundreds of dollars on Goga Batadze. Thank you.
There we go. Good. Let's get to some of your guys' super chats. Now, Ace of Spade wants to know our favorite options for DK tiers. By the way, when our ownership and projections update for the Wizards starting lineup, I'll throw this up on screen here. But it actually did just hit ownership should be up in a second here as well. So while we are waiting for the ownership, which should be in about 2 minutes, let's hit on DK tiers here for Ace of Spade, beginning with tier 1, which is just pretty easily Luka for me.
I am pulling up tiers right now. I don't have it in front of me.
It's Luka, Maxey, Harden, and Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, what are we doing here? You're playing Luka.
Tier 2, Austin Reeves, Kawhi Leonard, Franz Wagner, Ivica Zubac, and LeBron James. That's LeBron for me.
Yeah, LeBron, even though I love Zubac today, but yeah, it is what it is.
Tier 3, this is Alex Sarr, Onyeka Okongwu. We've got Desmond Bane and Dyson Daniels. All right, so here is where I have to actually start to look and compare some players. That's going to be Sarr for me.
Yeah, Alex Sarr looks really good. I'm playing him a lot more on FanDuel. Obviously, my nuke is in the way a little bit on DraftKings, but DK tiers, fire up Sarr.
Tier 4, we've got a couple of players who are out in Keyshawn George and Paul George. So instead, we've got NAW, Quentin Grimes, CJ McCollum, Andre Drummond. That's actually Drummond for me.
I love Drummond tonight. I love Drummond too. I love every center play. I love Wendell Carter Jr. I'm just basically playing 2 center lineups in everything on DraftKings.
Tier 5, Rui Hachimura, Anthony Black, Bilal Coulibaly. We've got Laravia, De Silva, John Collins, Vit Krejci. Boy, the options start to get really shitty now at this part of the game. That is going to be for me, I guess, Tristan De Silva now that Jonathan Isaac is out.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think it's going to be Tristan De Silva, which is just pain and suffering personified, and may God have mercy on us all.
Boy, tier 6 is really dog shit.
Yeah, it might be De Silva by a mile.
No, Anthony Black is not that far off from him, in my opinion.
The suit is not black. It's fine.
We've got in tier 6, Watford, Risa Shea, Marcus Smart. We've got Barlow, Gay, Hayes, Edwards, Kleba, all kinds of just dog shit options in tier 6. I am going to go with Watford, though, with Joel Embiid out.
Yeah, it's Watford by a pretty considerable margin. 23 fantasy points are just short of that for us. Yeah, it's going to be him.
All right, what do we have next? Let's see. Is the ownership here? It is. All right, let's look at the ownership and the projections on the Wizards now that we've got that updated with Corey Kispert starting. What do we have here? Sort by ownership. We've got Kispert is now 49% owned. Champagny has come down to 42% owned. Cam Whitmore's 40% owned. Bub Carrington, 32% owned. Then you've got Sar McCollum, just over 20% owned. I do like getting overweight to the field to Sar to be a little bit different with some of the field's exposures to the Wizards. I also assume that I am probably, unfortunately, going to have a lot of exposure to Corey Kispert. I'll see what my lineups look like when I update them for. I can't believe that Champagny's still 43% on coming off the bench, though.
That's not for me. I will have 0.
I won't have 0, but I'm not going to have, at least I don't think I'm going to have as much as the field has at 43%. That's a super high number for a guy who is an okay fantasy producer, but his minutes probably somewhat capped coming off the bench. Like, we've got him in for 20 minutes right now. That has him at 18 fantasy points. It just feels like he's a little bit too highly owned for me. If people had him in a lineup, I don't have an issue with it. I just think that I want to have less than 43% of him.
Played 23 minutes. He played less than Bub Carrington last game. Played less than Bilal, who obviously starts, so it's not all that surprising. He would really have to play more than we expect. Plus, where they're thin is basically the front court with, the lack of options that they have there. They have a lot of different guards and 3s and 4s that they can kind of rotate in. I find it pretty unappealing. I mean, the main thing is Keyshawn George played last game, played 36 minutes. You take him off. Yeah, there's potentially something there, but I don't really see it. I expect Cam Whitmore to go out. Cam Whitmore scored 20 points in 17 and a half minutes last game. I mean, it's just insane. Like, just give me the Cam Whitmore piece and I'll figure out the rest. And if he burns me, he burns me. But I just feel so much better with him as the main value piece for Washington, because I know I'm not going to get gypped out of shots. I absolutely am with Justin Champagny. He's got to get there in kind of a unlikely way. I really don't like that play at that ownership.
We do have Cam Whitmore projected for 3 more fantasy points. Now, not necessarily a leverage option because they have similar ownership, but I do agree with you. I would rather play a popular Cam Whitmore than a popular Champagny for tonight.
Yep, agreed.
I'm going to be so upset if I rerun everything that I have here through the Sims and Champagny shows up in lineups. I mean, like in meaningful amount of lineups. He's going to show up in some lineups. I would be, if I run everything right now of my stuff and he's in 50% of lineups, I will be devastated.
I will say this is kind of the nice part about having the single lineup sim as well. I've been using it more and more as I play like my 150 set over on one site and I play like my my one single lineup over on the other one, just so that I'm able to intelligently talk to some extent about the other one. Although people would argue I never intelligently talk ever, but I fuck you. Anyway, definitely feel good about my single lineup over on FanDuel. I'm playing some single lineup stuff over on DK, but I'm playing more lineups there today just because got to get that status up to diamond here before the end of the year, Greg. They sent that credits thing out today. I'm like, oh, I want to go on a trip. I want to go to Hawaii, even though that's the most expensive one. I'm like, I'm probably not going to get to do that.
I didn't look to see whatever. Oh, by the way, we just had another projections update. I'm not
exactly. You could get Dyson hair stuff for 1 credit. That'd be great. You need that.
I don't need any. Here's the thing. I always find, and we've only got 15 minutes left to go. I have to answer a lot of your questions.
Oh.
I always look at the list of the things that DraftKings does for the tiers, and I don't want any of it. I never want any of the stuff.
I want to go play golf. Hey, you do?
I don't need a watch. I don't need more Apple stuff. I don't want a vacation. I don't want to go outside of my house. I don't need any of the things.
Well, they have golf at Pebble Beach, and I think that's the one that you want to get to, and that's what I want to get to. But Rich, also projected added like 0.7 minutes to Vooch. Oh, Rich, it's almost like you're starting to catch on that I might be the nuke king. Awesome, great, grand. Vooch is going to do nothing today. This is going to suck.
Super chat from Berg Boy. There's no question attached. So let me look through chat to see if there was anything in here. Here we go. He wants to know, is it better to boost projections or to boost ROI in the Stokastic sim? So I think it's a little bit better to do. They're ultimately going to serve a similar purpose, but it's going to be a little bit easier to boost ROI. Here's why. Let's say that you run your lineups and you want, just to use an example that we were just talking about, less of Champagny than shows up in lineups for you. But if you alter his projection and it doesn't give you the desired amount of exposure, now you have to go back to the Sims. You have to change his projection. You have to run it again. Whereas the ROI, you could just change it a little bit more incrementally. It's going to be easier to finagle it around to get it to the number of exposure that you want. Same with like some of the exposure caps. So for myself, it's going to be the ROI boost as the way to go. Good 23 top players by position for DraftKings cash games. Yes. So a lot of this is going to be dictated by some of the ownership. But if we were to go through a lot of them also are like pretty cut and dry. Like point guard, Maxi's the most popular. He's also going to be the easiest answer. Shooting guard, now that he's confirmed starting, that's going to be Corey Kispert. Same for him at small forward. As a second option at small forward, I'll say Cam Whitmore over Champagny. Power forward, easily going to be Jalen Johnson. And then at center, Porzingis and Drummond.
Yeah, it's interesting because the two centers that we haven't talked about, I love Drummond too. Porzingis, I'm not all that high on purely because he was really chalky, and rightfully so. He was in a fantastic spot. I don't love the idea of this game getting completely lopsided and me playing Vucevic because I'm kind of banking on potential failure there. And you're not going to have Porzingis close a game where they're down 20. So I'm building my lineups a lot over on DK to potentially gear. Like I don't think it's not. I hate talking about this in NBA DFS specifically because I don't think it's a requirement or something you should be thinking about a ton. But on 3-game slates, I do try to think about a little bit of game script angles, especially individual lineups where it's like, do I want to have McCollum and Middleton in lineups with like anything that is like backups Atlanta? Like I'm really specifically gearing towards like the Vucevic, towards the Cam Whitmore, towards some blowout potential run there working out. I think Okongwu would fit a little bit more, but his price is just nuclear with him back, and there's just no way to play him on any planet right now at 7,200. So yeah, Porzingis is fine at 6,800, but I think a little bit overowned. He's a 1.45 guy in our projections, though. There's no doubt that he is a phenomenal play. I like a lot of other centers to rotate through if he's going to be 40% owned.
Sifed in, thoughts on Jackson Hayes on Showdown tonight? So I will be honest, I have not built out lineups for Showdown, but as of right now, expected to start at center. He's cheap, and then it's only a 1-game slate. So I'm going to make an educated guess that if I was building out lineups for the Showdown slate right now, he'd probably show up in a decent amount of them for those reasons.
Yeah, play on FanDuel so you can play because you can't play him on DK. They break my heart. You break my heart, DraftKings. I want to play the DNP CD. God damn it.
Yeah, that's what everybody wants, is to play a guy who is not going to play for the slate. Andrew May, 3953, top plays on FanDuel by position. All right, so let's talk about the FanDuel side of things, and I'll pull up the FanDuel projections as we go here as well. So at point guard, Eric, and I'll sort here by the optimal rates as well. Who's your favorite overall point guard play on the FanDuel side of the slate?
Nikhil Alexander-Walker. I know that.
Hard for me to not say Tyrese Maxey over. I mean, the minutes are just absurd for Maxey and the role.
So there's awesome plays everywhere. I went with the Grimes McCain double at shooting guard, and I ended up playing Luka over Maxey, kind of taking a little bit of your note as we were talking through it. Playing Wendell Carter Jr. as my center over there, so a little bit different, not playing the nuke over there, but I'm playing one lineup in like 5 different contests, and just thought I would, get something in on the FanDuel side so I could talk about it, but I totally get it. Maxey's just crazy popular. He should be. He's 10-3 over there as well. It's ridiculous.
Shooting guard for me, I'm going to go with a little bit more of a contrarian option in McCain, who is super cheap. He's $3,800 over on FanDuel. And the shooting guard position, it's pretty top heavy. You got like Quentin Grimes pulling a ton of ownership. Jalen Suggs, NAW is also really popular. I'm going to go with the contrarian option, 18% owned McCain.
That's my dude. I brought him up. He's my FanDuel noob for the people. Love him.
Got his minutes ramped up. I will say Jalen. I'll say Jalen Johnson at small forward.
I'll say Quentin Grimes. I'll use the Grimes one, even though I played him at shooting guard, but whatever.
Okay. Power forward. That'll be LeBron for me at 8,700.
Yeah, he's popular, should be, but Jalen Johnson for me.
And then center, I'm going to say Porzingis.
I like Wendell Carter Jr. a lot. So playing him over on FanDuel.
All right, I've got my stuff updated here. Let me see. First thing I want to check. Cool, I've got 30% of Champagny. I'm good with that number. He's in some lineups, but I'm underweight to the field by a little bit here. I'm cool with that. That is right where I want to be.
I love banning people just for no reason. Well, actually, no, he was being a dick. So there's that. Anyway, continue on.
I let people could be dicks. What was he doing?
No, it's just being a dick. You're going to unban him. It's just been a dick. The Weasler. Do we need to have the Weasler in our YouTube chat for the rest of all time? I think not. What fuckery would he create? I don't know.
So is this this is him being a dick? Anthony Gill is going to get blowout run over Vuk? That's him being a dick?
No, and then he said nice rebuttal, and then I'm just like, well, I just don't need to have your existence here anymore. Eric, you're my guy. Greg, love you too. That's so nice. Mitch Williams, my dude. Let's go. Let's have a day.
Sean Carpin here, Drummond and Harden or Zubats and Reeves. Let's see. For myself, I do not have very much Harden exposure. I do like Drummond a whole bunch, though. Let's see.
Oh, this guy was being a cuck bagel earlier. I'm reading the comments. All right, totally fine. I'm very happy he's gone. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll go Drummond and Harden on that one.
Drummond, Harden, even though I love Zubats, the Reeves one is just not for me today. If Reeves goes off, I will not win money today. This I know.
Good thoughts on this DK lineup. We've got CJ McCollum. You've got Black, Kispert, Johnson, Vukcevic, Maxey, De Silva, Drummond for cash. Okay, yeah, for cash you have to change a lot of stuff. Vukcevic is not a cash game play. I know that he was Eric's nuke of the night, but no. This is not. This is a even for a GPP lineup that might be a little bit too many chances you're taking.
I didn't even play Cat in cash yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I played cash. I didn't even play Cat in cash. I played Cat in like 45% of my tournament lineups. He was 17% owned. But like what I say for Nuke of the Night does not mean play it in cash. That is a tournament only bit forever.
Yeah, that is you want to play some of the more popular guys in cash games. You don't want to go and play some like contrarian GPP plays for your cash games. Follow up from Good Grimes over. Yeah, Grimes is a better cash game play than CJ McCollum. And then he's also got Grimes, Suggs. Okay, so here he wants to know Grimes, Suggs, CJ McCollum at point guard for cash. Which one of those should he be picking? Yeah, so of those guys, Grimes over the other ones for cash.
This made me laugh. Eric turning into a big douche. I'm 50% Dutch, so I think that's what you were going for. That's me.
Let's see. We are caught up on the super chats now. Were there other questions to get to in Discord before we leave? Let's see what we've got from Discord. And also, guys, if you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And remember, everything that we have here, any weekly package, 50% off. Promo code GRAVY for Black Friday. So if you want to sign up for an NBA weekly package, core or max, 50% off. Promo code GRAVY. You want to sign up for an NFL DFS weekly package, core or max, promo code GRAVY. It's going to get you 50% off. You want to sign up for a portfolio EV package, 50% off with promo code GRAVY. Take advantage of it. This deal is only going to be running for this week for Black Friday. So we've gotten Discord now. All right. Discord. Carson wants to know, are we doing anything to differentiate our lineups by focusing on getting to different different spend up guys, different value guys? My nuke of the night, I'm well overweight to field to Luka. He's in about half my lineups.
Ooh. I also like to live dangerously.
Anything for you, Eric?
Tristan Vucevic.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, those were who are nuke options were M Grizzly. Just now getting to tune in. Are you guys boosting anyone up or down to position for late swap? So nothing for late swap at this point that I feel like I have to go out of my way towards. But I, once again, just to reiterate, I'm overweight to the field on Luka. So if you want to make sure you're overweight to him, you can give him an ROI boost. And I don't have any issue with that. Anybody else that you want to go out of your way to get into more lineups that would be in a later game?
Nope, nothing. I didn't boost a single person. I played straight off the projections today because they are fantastic, and Rich is doing a fantastic job.
J-Rock, on a small slate, do you recommend 1, 2, 3 uniques or none? So that is a personal preference. I have 2 uniques running for today. But yeah, personal preference for what it is that you want to do. Really depends on how much diversification you're looking for in your lineups, but I do have 2 uniques selected for today. Rabashua for FanDuel GPP, 3 under 10% owned, guys. 10% is a really low mark for a 3-game slate.
Sure.
Anybody sub 10% owned that really stands out to you on FanDuel? Like for reference, these are some of the guys that we're starting to talk about when you're looking sub 10% owned. You're looking at, Okongwu, who's pretty expensive, or Jackson Hayes, or Koulibaly, or Rui Hachimura, Kawhi Leonard. There's nobody, just to be honest, there's nobody I love sub 10% owned.
Yeah, Hayes would be the most in play, but he's at the position that's most valuable. I've talked about how many centers today. I also think there's a world where Kawhi, 8,200, you told me Kawhi put up like 2 fantasy point per minute rate tonight and ended up optimal. It's not the craziest thing, but neither are remotely going to show up in like 1 or even like 20, 50 lineups for me.
And we've got a question here from Sean Jeezy. Oh, this isn't a question. This is just a comment. Sean says that he endorses your nuke of the night, Eric. So that's a nice message from Sean, just backing you up. And then we've got Kevin Cash App wants to know, would I avoid playing Wagner and De Silva in the same lineup together on DraftKings? No. They don't have that much to do with each other. If Tristan De Silva has a big game, it doesn't mean that Franz Wagner automatically, died or something.
Yeah. I mean, what I do think is, and this is something that I just got done doing, lineup filtering out a ton of Tristan Vucevic with Alex Sarr. I just don't want any, like a lot of those type lineups, because they play the same position and somebody's foul trouble could lead to, less minutes for one guy because they just don't share the floor together. When they share the floor together, I have far less concerns about stuff like that and don't think about it 99% of the time.
Sean also wanted to know if there's a playback show for tonight. No, I have family here at my house, and then Josh is also gone for today. I don't think Josh is going to do very many of them, if at all, going forward. But my plan for at least post-holidays is on a slate where I think there could be a lot of late swap. I'm just going to go do playback shows, and I'll just hang out there and see what kind of value we can come up with. But for tonight, I don't think it's going to be a great night for playback, but not available to do it anyway. JT Mac, favorite low-owned play in the 5-5-5. I don't know exactly what it is that is going to be your barometer for a low-owned play, but I don't think Luka is going to be especially popular in that contest. So I'm going to say Luka, and Eric's probably going to say Vucevic.
I like them both. Just like them both. Wendell Carter Jr.
Okay.
Another center. I just love Wendell Carter today. He could play like 37 minutes, 36 minutes, especially if Goga's somewhat limited, but we'll see.
We've got Win also asking us a 2v2, Porzingis and Franz Wagner, or Jalen Johnson and Wendell Carter Jr. Let's see. That's going to be the Jalen Johnson, Wendell Carter Jr. combo for me.
Correct. Same.
Mr. Cool Cam wants to know favorite plays on FanDuel for a single entry. Talked about both Eric and I brought up McCain. Anybody else that you would bring up as a possible differentiation point for a FanDuel GPP?
I mean, I have nobody that's like way off the beaten path in one lineup. One guy I entertained that I didn't end up pulling the trigger on is Andre Drummond. I mean, he's like 17%. I really like Drummond too tonight, but went the Wendell Carter side. I needed the money.
All right. And we've got one final question here from Mitch Williams. He says, I play Eric Bye every night. There we go. I assume that this is nuke misspelled because B is next to the N and Y is not really that close to the K, but I'm being generous.
Or it could just be BI, and that's what he meant. But, it is what it is.
Or he's like, I play Eric's bullshit every day. That's what he actually meant to say. Just all this bullshit Eric talks about, whatever it is. I just play and I trust Eric. Other than that, guys, that's it. That's it. Yeah. So people ask, today would not be a good day for playback anyway. But yeah, assuming some things align next week, I think there'll probably be a couple of good days for playback. But yeah, the days that we want to do playback shows are just going to be when there's late swapping available.
Be a good night to be Go Collect 2057. The gummies hit. Go enjoy your evening, sir. Go enjoy your evening.
There we go, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also, Black Friday deal. It is live on the site. Promo code Gravy, 50% off any DFS weekly package. So go take advantage of that. And if you guys are looking for bets for Thanksgiving, follow Eric and I on Tails and everybody else as well. Tails, you get lots of free bets. So go check that out. Either go to tails.bet or download the Tails apps. Guys, good luck with tonight's slate. See you tomorrow. Peace.